You guys, it has been far too long. It's your host, Bert, back bringing you some more Limp-Cryptid. Now, this episode, I'm going to go a little bit more, hopefully a lot more, in depth into how I got each individual picture of evidence that I'm about to bring to you. Yeah, real evidence this time. Now, I've been out there trying to track this thing. There's been a few moments where I've actually had legitimate fear put into me. Fear. Legitimate fear. But that aside, I have an episode for you. I want to submerge your senses, grind those gears, and get the truth seekers, skeptics here together today for this episode. So, without any further delay, here's your episode. I hope you enjoy. As we get started, everyone, if you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, it definitely helps me out, helps this channel out, it helps those truth seekers find those answers. Now, as I promised you guys earlier, I did mention I did have proof. I want to bring you to what made me decide to chase this proof and track this proof. There's been a major life change for me this year, and towards the beginning of April, when things started looking south for me, you just kind of have to pick yourself back up and start all over sometimes. And hey, if that means you got to live back with your folks, you got to live back with your folks. Now, my folks own quite a bit of land on the edge of a conservation area. Now, this conservation area was never always there. It used to be always owned land, but here it is now, a conservation area. Several years later now, not as a kid, but as an adult, here it is. Yeah, it's kind of something else, but in reality, it's strange. For the fact that this evidence I'm about to show you. As a kid, I had these experiences with what I thought was Bigfoot, and I'm not even positive if that was the case. It was just a quick glance back at it as a kid. Now, I know there's stuff out there. There's things that exist. And I know there's a lot more that we can't perceive in this world. And that's okay. It's just something that happens. Ants can't perceive things. We can't perceive things. Birds can't perceive things. But it's all just the natural nature of life. However, we can alter the way we see things with enhancements. Now, I want to touch on that with some of the pictures I'm going to be showing you. I use night vision. Now, the first time I decided to get this was shortly after I started deciding to wanting to camp out. Hey, I'm living on the edge of the conservation area, and it seems kind of cool. Let's turn this into some kind of lifestyle. So we're going to try this, and of course, my first night out, I hear footsteps outside my tent. They pop outside my tent. And I'm inexplicably tired. It's like I would rather sleep than investigate these footsteps. But they were heavy footsteps. And the crazy thing is I've seen big old footprints out there before. So that's kind of crazy all on its own. Let's try camping a little closer to the back of the house. Yeah, let's try that, right? What could go wrong? I didn't actually have a vehicle at that point in time. You kind of do the best you can for the ones you care about. So I gave my vehicle away. And that at that point in time, I didn't need one, so it was okay. Um, anyways, I digress. But so camping closer to the house, I decided that, we'd have access to electricity, or that we would, um, just be closer in case we had to do something. Now, I say we because my daughter actually was with me at this point in time. And before it even got to the middle of the night, we just barely started watching our tablets. She failed on that idea. And it gave me a lot of questions to why. I mean, it's a big tent. We were able to put a queen size mattress, inflatable mattress in there. I mean, plenty of space. It would have been fun. I mean, it was just right out the back door, but she, she's like, I don't know. I'm not feeling it. And, as we got out of the tent, I really, really, really felt lost. Now, it's a feeling that if you get it, you get it. You don't, you don't. It's hard to explain, but it's much like when you stare at your dog and your dog will look back at you. So, the dog metaphor, I think that's the best way to explain how I felt when I got out of the tent that night with my daughter. Now, I'm going to kind of dive into something here a little bit. I am a veteran. I have seen combat, so, I have my own fair share of issues that I deal with. And when I felt watched, I was with my daughter and I felt overly protected. And that was the very tipping point that pushed me into getting night vision. Now, for long periods of time, I would sit out there and just watch, or even go press the vision scope right out the window, and you could still use it. Typically, if you shine night vision at a window, it'll give you this real big glare. However, if you press it right up against the glass, you usually don't get that until you start shifting around. Um, with that being said, many nights would just be nothing. Boredom, just nothing. And other nights, there was one night alone where um, I really just didn't feel like anything was going to come up. I mean, we had literally just cut like 3 trees down right in our backyard. And watching this was, it was just, it felt pointless at this point in time. But I pressed it up against the back window out my back door and started looking around. And what I caught, I'll show you here. And it's about the creepiest thing. You guys, you guys take a look. Now, you guys definitely saw me fudge. Uh, by fudge, I mean black out the areas there. I just don't need to be tracked. I don't need to be followed. I don't need anyone out here trying to find this thing on top of it too. Um, this is my purpose. This is what I'm doing. And on top of that, you guys seen it for yourself. Those three things that I sent you, showed you a series of 3 pictures, and those weren't the only ones that I have of this thing, but those were the clearest I have of that thing. That being said, kind of feel this renewed sense of purpose, protection, um, just sense of being. And I'll take my time. I'll go out there every so often and try to find some evidence of this thing. And by the way, this camera has got me more bits of evidence that I'm going to bring to you here in a little bit. but I want to touch on those three photos a little bit more. These, I don't know what it could be. I have my guesses. This thing is in night vision. That coat looked white, and it's a little confusing to try to understand this thing because I mean, if you think of the typical dog man, right? Um, which is kind of what it looks like. Pointy ears and this pointed out snout, black tip nose and stuff. I mean, it's very stereotypical. And that thing is, by the way, stand looks like it's sitting on its back hip at about 5 feet tall, right there alone. So yeah, about almost my height. I'm practically 6 foot. By the way, that thing looks like it's sitting on its back hips when that picture was taken. That other side of the tree is easily taller than me, by the way. That's about 6 feet tall. So, um, when it's about level with that, it kind of worries me with that tree we cut down. And it really worries me why it's trying to hide right there and why it's looking like my way almost too. So, yeah, it gave me almost like a renewed sense of purpose throughout the time since then. I would um, go out there, obviously well protected. Um, Now, against what this is, who knows? I mean, when you truly start to cross this threshold into the supernatural, paranormal, um, you don't know what this thing is capable of. That YouTuber that brought an Operation Feather or Project Feather forward, that was a bit creepy. Um, but I know my government. I've worked for the US Army and I know what they're capable of. So it doesn't surprise me any bit that we would be on top of this. Uh, which, funny story, by the way, um, shortly after I took those pictures, tons of helicopters flying over the conservation area. Uh, I thought that'd be an interesting side note. I actually took a few videos of that. I'd like to show you right here if possible. Going straight over the conservation area. And after seeing those helicopters fly by, it was nearly like a sign saying, "This is what you're supposed to do, by the way. Follow this thing, follow the evidence, follow it where it points you, take it to where it leads." And so do it, you know? Why not?
2,000 years later.
Follow the thing. Uh like I said, where the evidence leads, right? US government definitely involved into this. So you guys out there that think it's impossible, take a second guess. I mean, I don't think it's full on like X Files where we're, staging all this, but I think some of this stuff exists in our world that we cannot perceive, as I said earlier, and that is able to be perceived through the use of certain optics because just like other things on our planet, we can't perceive things. Bees, for instance, perceive ultraviolet radiation. They can see it. They know when it's coming. It's something we can't see, but there's things in the world that we know of that we are capable of seeing. So it really sparked my imagination into potentially what's out there, and which then followed me onto another. set of evidence, just next pictures of a footprint. And it clearly looks semi-canine with like 3 claws. And then there's another one. There's another footprint somewhere. I was following it. You literally get like one every 100 feet or so, and it's really bizarre because with this ability to potentially move supernatural speeds, are they actually jumping through the trees? It's possible because in later evidence that I'll show you in this episode, it's in a tree. So, um, let's go back to these footprints. I'd like to show you real quick. Well, guys, I just definitely want to apologize for having to use an electronic cigarette for purposes of measurement there, but it seemed to be the only possible way of getting across the actual size of the print. The size of the print alone was just, I mean, easily the length of a dollar bill, but skinny. You saw that there. And I don't, I mean, what does this mean? I mean, there was like at least a couple in a row, and this is just the clearest one that there was. I mean, the best print that I could take a picture of. And by in a row, I mean, these were definitely separated by at least 10. I don't want to say 10 feet, but it's got to be supernatural. Because, like, 10 feet, man, this isn't 10 feet, but separated by at least right around there. I didn't actually measure it, but it was quite a bit. It was more than 2 paces for me. So that's saying quite a bit. Um, if it's supernatural and has this enormous running stride, maybe it has this gliding stride. I don't know. But like I said, before we weigh in the consequences of what supernatural and paranormal means for us, and before we can even perceive it, how we respond to it, that's up to us. All I know is that I'm on the edge of this conservation land, and I'm the one witnessing this stuff. Is I better keep myself well on protected. So I am definitely not divulging any information to whereabouts this is, what conservation or anything. Uh, I just want you guys to have that clear evidence out there. Um, and the fact that I definitely believe that our government is in on it. For the fact that I've seen and witnessed a few things. You guys have seen some choppers fly in. That's not the only direct evidence I have. The um, first video there of the choppers flying in, the 3 of them, those were definitely all military. Now, whether or not it's this branch or whatever, I'm not really super close to any active duty base. So, why they were flying over consistently in the middle of summer, no one knows. I mean, it was more than just a 2 week period where there could have been training going on or something like that. Even if it was at the one that's further away in the state, I forget which one it is, but regardless, it shouldn't matter. Why is it directly over me after this? Shouldn't be. So, again, just so you guys have the evidence out there, that you guys see that I don't think that this is all completely made up. I think there's something to it. And like other people have said, the truth is out there. We just need to find it. And we just need to be willing to accept it. Are you? With that being said, I hope you enjoyed this episode of Limp-Cryptid. It's been a pleasure bringing you everything I have found so far. I will continue to be out there trying to find more evidence. You guys keep the paranormal and supernatural train flowing. If you like it, like and subscribe. Please recommend this to your friends and family. Get this evidence out there, please. Again, I'm your host, Bert, here on Limp-Cryptid. Have a great day.